Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 362 based on novel. So let's start. I can't see that you lied to me. Gamma just disappeared, and the 6 walking corpses quietly retreated, quietly crawling beside the sinner Fengyu. However, what Ling Fengyu did not expect was that this Xiao Yang actually pretended to be dead in secret, used his means to successfully cross the most dangerous death zone in the Devil's Sea, and was successfully brought them into the Devil's Lair by himself. He was a little angry for a while. I'm a little curious about what you guys are doing here. Xiao Yang's power is still at its peak, and the shadow behind him burst out with dazzling brilliance like a god. Step by step, he walked towards Fengyu. The mansion of God is daunting. Entering the Devil's Sea is a lifeless death, but most of the people who enter here are fishermen and mercenary groups with mediocre strength, but this will not change the situation of your fall. But I sympathize with you. Fengyu didn't have any fear, his gloomy face appeared a little cold, and he smiled arrogantly. The smile turned out to be distorted and ugly, extremely hideous. Among the sins, there are countless human beings who are willing to serve the sins and serve the evil races outside the realm, and the existence of the sinners is originally a human being, but they have the evil power given by the evil races outside the territory. Because of some things that people and gods are angry with, we strive to let the army of foreign evil races completely conquer the world as soon as possible. As early as when they step into sin, their souls have already rotten, become filthy, and become like ordinary human beings. There is a clear view of this. Why do you see it? Xiao Yang felt that things were not so simple. The Fengyu in front of him was only a late-stage 6-star fighting immortal, but he was fearless. Moreover, this was just the middle part of the Devil's Lair. At the bottom of the lair, there was a huge amount of evil energy. It is growing rapidly like a baby, and that kind of power makes people's breathing become dignified. Because of this, because here is the masterpiece of the 5th Sin Lord Sima, here will be a world-changing feat, and we are all witnesses to this feast. You are nothing but the victims of this feast. At the next moment, the corners of Fengyu's mouth became twisted, and a crazy smile emerged from his face. In addition to the shadow of the laboratory and the background of his dark green hair, he looked like a hopelessly lunatic, swearing his faith. Although I have a lot of questions, I think it's better to beat you down first and ask them one by one. 7th layer breaking the sky ruler. Xiao Yang was vigilant and stopped talking nonsense with him. He intuitively told Xiao Yang that if he wasted too much time here, some terrible things might happen. After the breath, Xiao Yang held the ancient ruler of eternal fire behind Xiao Yang in the palm of his hand. An extremely heavy feeling came from the ruler. It seemed that with the new flames of the 4-color holy flames, some small amber-colored lights on the ancient ruler of eternal fire. The lines, faintly emerged. These lines are like the most primitive ancient lines, and they contain indescribable mysterious power. Unfortunately, Xiao Yang's current power cannot detect its secrets. With the power of undead fire, 7 giant energy rulers in a row, like sharp bows and arrows, easily escaped from Gongxian and blasted away at Fengyu. Boom! Terrifying flames and strong winds hummed in the void of the laboratory, and the destructive power on the giant ruler of 7 flames was heart-pounding. Tricks of carving insects, but I don't have time to play with you. Evil guard, demon guard, kill him for me. Fengyu's face was calm, and he raised his palm and tapped gently. With the sound of Fengyu's palm falling, a burly figure in the laboratory who was bound in the test tube of the crystal suddenly woke up, and suddenly reached out to break the transistor, covered with a looming green aura. And in that green aura, it turned out that the amber rock soul fire in Xiao Yang's body shook violently, as if the green aura contained a wisp of evil power no less than a sinner. The evil guards are the 6 walking corpses just now. They have no intelligence and cannot be resurrected. They can only be controlled and become killing machines. The demon guards completely retain some of the properties of human beings, such as emotional life and blood. But it is absolutely submissive to the control of sin, and it is also a murder weapon. Boom! A demon guard who was comparable to the late stage of the 6-star fighting immortal humanity and 6 evil guards who were comparable to the middle stage of the 6-star fighting immortal humanity blasted towards Xiao Yang together. Among them, the demon guard had sharp eyes, and he actually avoided Xiao Yang's 7 giant foot attacks with the advantage of his movement speed. His pale palm was gently lifted, and a devastating force of destruction came quietly. The speed skyrocketed, and the palm formed a wave with a slashing momentum. He rushed towards Xiao Yang. It's really tricky, but you're in a hurry, so I'm in a hurry. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, a ghostly shadow quietly left him, and Xiao Yang suddenly lost his shadow. A creature like death was hidden in the laboratory. Middle. The fourth finger in the sky. Xiao Yang sneered when he looked at the aggressive demon guard. The ancient ruler of Yi Huaheng was put away, and the index finger of his left hand was slowly raised. The tips converged, and a dazzling giant finger that condensed countless powers, like a giant pillar, was completely exposed in the laboratory. Affected by Xiao Yang's terrifying murderous aura, there was a hint of hesitation in the demon guard's eyes. Obviously, from Xiao Yang's terrifying attack, he could smell a wave of death, and for a while he was hesitant to retreat. Ended. Immortal fire. With a light voice, the grey flames suddenly diffused out of his body, and then directly wrapped the dazzling giant finger completely. For a time, an immortal sacred fire and the power of the destruction giant finger blessed www.mtlnovel.com. A wave of extinction spreads with a bang. Xiao Yang knew that this demon guard's predecessor was a human being, and if it wasn't for the power of the holy flame, I'm afraid it wouldn't be able to cause harm to it. Break me. The demon guard and the evil guard didn't know how to advance or retreat. They directly raised their palms over their heads. The unparalleled evil forces formed green evil clouds, squirming away at Xiao Yang. The space is collapsed by an inch. Boom. The incomparably hot heat wave was like a melting pot, spreading continuously with Xiao Yang as the center. Immediately, I saw a finger light wrapped in grey flames that easily split the evil cloud. It chopped in pieces, as if the falling flower dog was extremely miserable. It's really unfortunate to meet a hard bone at this juncture. Let's go first. The devil's lair is heavily guarded, and naturally someone will come to take care of you. Seeing Xiao Yang's fierce attack to solve the devil and the evil guard together, Feng Yu was covered with a cyan fight, his figure rioted, and for a short time there were signs of escape. Although Feng Yu was in the late stage of 6-star Dozian, he was of the wind attribute. In addition to the perverted fighting power of Xiao Yang just now, Feng Yu did not dare to fight him. I didn't tell you to escape. Just as Feng Yu's speed soared and was about to leave here, a flame figure appeared behind Feng Yu. Feng Shuo's body suddenly tensed, and the blood in the body involuntarily solidified. For a moment, he just realized how terrifying the guy in front of him was. My lord, you have something to say. Looking at the grey flame on Xiao Yang's body, Feng Yu's pupils shrank tightly. The fear of death caused his legs and feet to tremble uncontrollably. Bean-sized sweat kept dripping. Really terrified. Just with Xiao Yang's ability to defeat one demon guard and 6 evil guards so effortlessly just now, Feng Yu knew that he had no chance of winning. But what Xiao Yang didn't know was that he also possessed the 4-color holy flame, and the terrifying combat power blessed by the swallowing flame technique made him a little unexpected. 3 questions. Xiao Yang calmly stretched out 2 fingers, the soul shadow on his body and the power of the holy flame shrouded together. The tyrannical oppression made Feng Yu's breathing become dignified. It seemed that his life and death were only in Xiao Yang's thoughts between. My lord, please, the little one must know everything and say everything. Feng Yu heard the words, secretly relieved, and looked at Xiao Yang attentively. How much combat power is there here? I'm talking about the powerhouses above the 6-star Dozian. Xiao Yang said. Reporting to the Lord, this is the lair of the 5th sin of our sin, Lord Sima. The strength of the Lord should be at the level of the 6-star Dozian perfection. In addition, there are 7 sinners assisting the Lord, and I am only one of the 7. The person with the weakest combat power is in charge of patrolling, and in the lair, there are about 10 people above the 6-star Dozian, and there are only 3 people in the 7-star Dozian. And here is a huge laboratory and a prison. There are countless humans and sea beasts detained in the prison. They were all secretly captured by Lord Ma and used for some unknowing experiments. Feng Yu didn't dare to conceal the slightest bit, and after he finished speaking, he looked at Xiao Yang tightly, for fear that Xiao Yang would kill him if he said anything wrong. You did those strange things in Shueyuan City. After Xiao Yang heard this, his guesses became somewhat certain. He snorted coldly, and immediately opened his mouth. Yes. The fishermen in Shueyuan City go out to fish, and every time the strong men of some mercenary groups go out to sea, they will be captured by us and imprisoned in the lair as a test item for adults to do experiments. But some guys it was lucky to break free from our control and escaped back to Shueyuan City before biting happened. What's the matter with the biting thing and the devil guard? The demon guard and the evil guard are the masterpieces of the failed and semi-finished products tested by the adults. The rest of the subordinates really don't know about it. After asking, Xiao Yang also had a general understanding of some strange things about Shueyuan City. Things in the Devil's Sea are the masterpieces of the 5th Sin Division's subordinates, and they have occupied this place for decades, obviously not for such an extremely bland biting thing. They are probably planning some terrifying feast. The last question, where is Ma? After a while, Xiao Yang said directly without wasting any time. Master Ma is now at the bottom of the lair. The experiment has reached the last step. Master Ma cannot be cloned, so it is also the time when Master Ma is the weakest. Feng Yu looked at Xiao Yang cautiously, expecting him to let him go. After Xiao Yang heard this, he turned his head away without looking back, and immediately walked towards the door of the test product. The most urgent task was to go to the bottom of the lair to find out, because Xiao Yang always felt that this Ma seemed to be a lunatic. The things he studies, I am afraid it will not be so simple. Thank you very much for the grace of not killing, sir. Watching Xiao Yang leave, Feng Yu hurriedly overjoyed, his body wriggled, trying to leave here directly. As long as he left here, as his criminal, he would naturally be able to make Xiao Yang have 100 kinds of things way to die. And Xiao Yang just went to the entrance of the laboratory. In the laboratory, a ghostly shadow, like a of death reaping his life, gently drifted past Feng Yu, and suddenly this mighty Feng Yu was caught. He was completely obliterated. As for obliterating him, it was probably the fire guard master who had been hiding around Xiao Yang. Like a shadow elf, he was always looking for an opportunity to strike a fatal blow. I happen to be holding this guy's clothes. Adding ghost face and soul flames can disguise my breath a little bit. You can go down and have a look. I hope it won't be too scary, whispered. As Xiao Yang went further down, Sheng Yang's vibrating aura became stronger, as if there were some demons below, and Xiao Yang was extremely puzzled by this, even if he encountered a demon of the same level as a demon from outside the realm in the past. Even the powerhouse of the evil race, Sheng Yang did not have such a violent reaction. Could it be that the creature or something below is more powerful than the demon of light? Reincarnation level? But if there is a reincarnation level extraterritorial evil powerhouse below, the peak powerhouse in the human center should not sit idly by. Weird thoughts that made Xiao Yang feel uncomfortable all appeared slowly. After a while, Xiao Yang followed the dark passage and slowly walked towards the bottom of the lair. The further down he went, a sense of dampness arose, and bursts of screams and screams continued to emerge from the walls of the two passages, even Xiao Yang. With the power of the soul, it was also found that many of the strong men held in this prison seemed to be transported away urgently towards the bottom. Feng Yu, what are you doing? Didn't Master Gamma ask you to execute the guy with the soul power of the Fairyland? How are things going? Just as Xiao Yang was walking around cautiously, the next moment he turned a corner. A man dressed exactly like Feng Yu asked Xiao Yang. Although it's a bit tricky, it's been solved. Xiao Yang grinned and said, in order not to be discovered by this criminal, he didn't say much, for fear of revealing some drawbacks. I don't see that you are quite a douchebag. Another criminal said with a smile. How is the adults' experiment going? Xiao Yang asked with concern. It has come to the final stage. Lord Gamma sent me to pick you up. The sinner said, in this case, I have to hurry down and guard the adults. After all, at this critical moment, no one can let people disturb adults. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he was ready to go down. Go ahead, your tyrannical wind attribute can help adults very well. It seems that some guys have entered the Soul Palace in the lair. I have to go out and have a look. As soon as the voice fell, the two sinners parted ways, but it was only the criminal who had just met Xiao Yang was probably infinitely close to the 6-star Dozian consummation. This Soul Palace is really haunted. But that's fine, let you all come to this muddy water to attract Sin's attention, or let me take a look at what's in the 5th Sin, Simagord. What kind of medicine are you selling? As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Yang's figure was like a ghost, heading towards the bottom of the nest. At this time, on the sea area around the Devil's Lair, countless sea beasts had already been controlled at the quiet speed above the water surface. Their empty eyes stared at the bottom of the Devil's Lair, and a panic spread out from their pupils, while their empty eyes stared at the bottom of the Devil's Lair. Above the sea, dark green evil clouds are densely covered, and the evil wind is raging above the sea. Between the lightning and thunder, there is a vaguely shocking monster that is about to be born. At the same time, the island of the Devil's Lair is the most fooled. Zhongyu's figure is hidden in the middle of a rock, with his eyes closed and a small seat. On his chest, there is a dazzling pentagram, like the most dazzling blazing sun, blooming extremely sacred. The blazing brilliance of the fire, in the sacred brilliance, there seems to be a god's mansion, smashing the void and rushing towards here. Like a god, like a mansion, unattainable and unmatched. At the bottom of the Devil's Lair, the bustling voices of walking emerged from the two sides of the dark passage, and this dark passage was connected to the bottom of the lair, and a dark and damp breath filled the air, which seemed to be indescribable. Corpse gas is generally suffocating. There is no way to turn in front, but according to my soul perception, there are two strong guys at the door of the bottom lair. They should be gatekeepers. It doesn't matter, look at it in the past, the feeling is getting stronger and stronger. Xiao Yang hid the fireguard master around himself to prevent emergencies from happening, and immediately hid his breath, relying on the identity of Qiao Zhuang Cheng Fengyu, directly and leisurely. Of turning over. Just after turning the corner, a giant bronze gate filled with dark green aura was immediately attracted. Its giant gate stood at the bottom of the passage, and an incomparably evil aura permeated above the bronze giant gate, and even there seemed to be a more terrifying existence behind the giant gate. That kind of breath is despairing, and there are endless screams, extremely miserable. Stop, who are you? On the two sides of the bronze giant gate, there are two men with 4 eyes and no vision. The two men are dressed in human attire, blue robes, and full of empty pupils. At a glance, they know that they are not ordinary human beings. 2 6-star fighters who are full of immortality. It seems that this place cannot be underestimated, and what Fengyu said before his death may have concealed a lot from me. Xiao Yang walked over to face him, but his heart kept on think. Fengyu, the sinner, come to protect a few adults. Xiao Yang walked over gently, his body was filled with black energy, and the power of Ghost Face and Soul Flame could naturally forge ghost energy, so he could easily deceive them. Let's go in. The 2 demon guards looked at each other, nodded, and a dark green energy fell from the 2 of them, and then injected directly into the bronze giant gate. With a sound, the bronze giant door slowly opened, and a stench of aura spread out from the gap in the bronze giant door. Hush! Xiao Yang turned into a stream of light and poured directly into it, and the place suddenly returned to silence. Here! 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 Xiao Yang stepped behind the giant bronze gate. After his sight was restored, countless human and sea beast bodies were stacked to form a mountain of people dozens of meters high, thus obscuring the whole view of this space. There is only a narrow passage of several meters in the mountain, connecting the ground of the space. The humans and sea beasts on the mountain are all gods without masters, like walking dead and motionless, but there are very distinct human anger, blood, etc. on them. What the is going on here? Xiao Yang forcibly suppressed the shock in his body, and carefully prepared to cross the mountain and head towards the center of the area. So far, every time he walked on the path of the mountain, he would ask someone to find someone. The beating of the heart in the body became more intense, and the fluctuation of threats and death suppressed Xiao Yang. Clang. Purgatory. A furnace. With a sound, Xiao Yang walked around for a while. He directly crossed the mountain of people and came to the ground level. Through the huge mountain of people, he saw the most mysterious scene at the bottom of the devil's lair. The pupils shrank tightly, the brain briefly turned white, and the heart seemed to be fatally probing. The space at the bottom of this devil's lair, looking around, the dark green evil atmosphere completely paved the way, and in the space, there was actually an ancient tree like a giant. The leaves on the ancient trees are lush and lush, but they are still dark green full of evil. The branches extend in all directions, and on each branch, the figures of humans and sea beasts hang upside down. Slowly flowing towards the canopy, after all the power dissipated, these humans and sea beasts were completely swallowed by the big guy in the center of the canopy. In the center of its canopy, there are several shadowy human beings of powerhouses standing slowly. They are filled with an indescribable evil aura. The flame cauldron of power, and above this huge evil tree, countless humans and sea beasts, at this time, are continuously projecting towards the flame cauldron on the canopy. These beasts are not as good as these guys. Seeing this, Xiao Yang's chest heaved violently. Obviously, a feast of this level is extremely rare even for Xiao Yang. These guys are obviously using the lives of these humans and sea beasts to satisfy their laboratories. This tragic practice is outrageous. Lord Ma, it seems that some annoying flies have gotten in. At this moment, on the canopy of the evil tree, several figures were looking at Xiao Yang's position. One of them was a man full of evil intent, facing the flames with a smile. The crazy man in front of Ding said, "Hee hee. The research has succeeded immediately. Apart from this annoying fly, there are many strong people who covet it already lurking around. Soul Palace. The Holy See. Leggy, go ahead, remember to bring me this kid's soul, to be able to escape Fengyo's attack, it should be of some use. Gamma, increase your strength, you are about to succeed. This glory, this feast, is about to be born in our hands." At this time, the corner of the fifth Sin Sima's mouth became crazy, the dark green lines spread out on his body, and his eyes were fixed on a shape in the flame cauldron in front of him. Weird stuff. That thing is only the size of an agate, but it is full of endless evil, and even with Xiao Yang's experience, he has never seen it before. Like the fruit carefully cultivated by the devil, once touched, once released, it may endanger the entire world. That's the devil, that's hell, that's the melting pot. And it's a well-thought-out masterpiece by these guys. Damn. 7 stars fighting immortals. Xiao Yang's eyes slowly retracted, the shock in his heart has not yet subsided, and he suddenly smelled that the whole body was enveloped by a strange sinister wind. He knew that the thing in the flame cauldron was about to be born, and once it was born, I am afraid it will cause waves of uproar. As for the specific use of the thing, Xiao Yang doesn't know, but the power contained in that small thing is no less than a powerhouse with the perfection level of 7-star fighting immortal. This space, apart from the evil ancient trees suspended in midair, was suddenly an extremely flat ground, extremely eerie and evil. A mere 5-star fighting immortal middle stage. I'm a little curious about what's in your body. A cold snort emerged, and a tall man with a very gloomy face suddenly appeared beside Xiao Yang without a trace. The contempt on the corner of his mouth seemed to be about dead animals. Looks like I stumbled across some good stuff. However, don't you plan to share the good things here? It seems that there are quite a few guys who also have this purpose. At this moment, Xiao Yang's heart was beating violently, but the corners of his mouth were still beating. With his strength, to deal with the 7-star fighting immortal level criminals, the pressure was self-evident. However, Xiao Yang knew that if the powerhouses of the Holy See and the Soul Hall powerhouses made a move together, he would have a great deal of confidence. I don't know why, when seeing the evil fruit in the center of the canopy, Xiao Yang's body burst into a burst of extremely crazy smells of holy flame, Emperor Flame Ring, and the most mysterious burning art. It seems that they are enemies of life and death, and they seem to want to devour each other. Good courage and character, but it's a pity. A dead person is not qualified to know these things. Seeing Xiao Yang so fearless, Lei Ji laughed like her of death. In an instant, this smile symbolized Xiao Yang's death. Ray comes. Reggie was obviously not going to let Xiao Yang go, and looking at his fierce attack, he was obviously not going to release water. He wanted to completely obliterate Xiao Yang with one blow. The lightning attribute of the initial level of 7-star fighting immortals. It's really a strong enemy. Looking at Lei Ji surrounded by black and red thunder in front of him, Xiao Yang could smell a thunderous destruction and evil intention from it. The fluctuation of that level, even at his peak at this time. During this period, I am afraid that only serious injuries can be managed reluctantly. If I am a little careless, I am afraid that my situation will be extremely miserable. But, still have to try. And that thing seems to have an extremely important position for me. After a while, Xiao Yang's body rose and fell violently. The amber-colored holy flame was like a flame elf, beating violently, and he seemed to feel the black-red thunder. Terrifying power, the amber flame burned violently, completely igniting this gloomy space. Die. Seeing Xiao Yang's actions like this, Lei Ji raised his palm, and countless black and red thunderbolts all over his body suddenly gathered towards his palm, and an evil thunder palm appeared quietly. Soul Shadow. Xiao Yang's pupils shrank tightly, and his strength has skyrocketed to the late stage of 6-star Do Xian. With the addition of the blessings of Dual Realms and Do Spirit, a heavy weight still pervades. Mingsha Profound Palm. Seeing Xiao Yang struggling like an ant, Lei Ji smiled and raised his palm. Suddenly, a dignified oppression by the power of heaven and earth emerged, even the black-red thunder evil palm. Under the gaze of Xiao Yang, the flow of Do Qi in Xiao Yang's body became slow. Soul Power. The pattern of domination. Stop it for me. Seeing the overwhelming attack, Xiao Yang snorted coldly and tried his best to resist it. Boom. The incomparably hot flame energy spread like spring water, but it was obviously too reluctant to be able to see Xiao Yang's figure and the rapid collapse. Crackling. With a sound, a harsh sound of metal collision appeared in this strange space. What is this? Can you actually resist my attack? Reggie looked at the mysterious item at the center of the explosion with an incredible look. His attack just now was enough to obliterate any 6-star Doshian perfection level powerhouse. How could this be? This is the ancient ruler of different fires. And Xiao Yang's soul power suddenly emerged. He was just preparing to deal with the next attack, but when he saw the ancient ruler of different fires, his mind suddenly shrank, a panic emerged. At this moment, the splendid eternal fire eternal ruler is very different from the past. It is tall and majestic, suspended in the midair of the field, like a rainbow, with 22 different patterns of different colors like tiny divine patterns, tightly fitting the ruler. The breath on the ancient ruler of different fires suddenly became completely different from before. Is it a fairy weapon? But the breath doesn't seem right. At this moment, Reggie also noticed the ancient ruler of different fire, and immediately opened his mouth coldly. The gorgeous flame pattern on the heavy ruler seemed to contain the power of endless majesty. Even if it is his strength, he dare not underestimate it. No. This level of fluctuation is definitely not an immortal weapon. Amber rock soul fire, give it to me. At the next moment, Xiao Yang's pupils flickered uncertainly. In combination with the past, his palm slowly rubbed the heavy ruler on top of his palm, and a resonance continued to emerge from the ruler, as if Xiao Yang asks for something in general, and is extremely greedy. This is holy flame fire. Susu. Seeing Xiao Yang revealing his trump card completely, Leiji's eyes became gloomy, and the black-red thunder field filled the air, completely wrapping the two of them. Boom. With Xiao Yang's attack, after the ancient ruler of Yihuaheng was injected with the amber rock soul fire after the fusion of the four-color holy flames, the ancient ruler of Yihuaheng had already erased the flames of Yihua because of Xiao Yang. The 22 different fire patterns seem to have been injected with endless nutrient vitality, becoming clear and conspicuous, and even a strong aura that surpasses the heavens and the earth, completely diffused. I can't see that you actually have the existence of holy flames, and the ranking of holy flames doesn't seem to be low. And this heavy ruler should also be a good thing. Boy, it is your honor to be able to fall into my hands. Let me inherit this kind of thing for you. In the black-red realm, countless thunders were squirming on the ground like a swamp, and every squirming would bring forth an extremely terrifying aura. The power of that level of thunder was outrageous. It really means that. Here comes the ruler. At this moment, Xiao Yang's palm was wrapped in amber holy flame, and Hua Li tightly held the ancient ruler of eternal fire in a strange state. Boom. Stop for me. Just after holding the ancient ruler of Yihuaheng, a strong repulsion came from the ruler. That repulsive force directly shook Xiao Yang's internal organs up and down, and his aura became chaotic. Fengju. At the moment of crisis, Xiao Yang closed his eyes and rested his mind. The most mysterious exercises in his body started to work, and the battle chi and holy flames that had been tempered by Fengju converged towards the ancient ruler of the eternal fire. Immediately, the different fire constant ancient ruler slowly returned to calm. However, at this time, the eternal fire of eternal fire had obviously caused some changes due to the fire of Xiao Yang's holy flame. I don't have time to accompany you to waste time here, let's make a move to decide the outcome. Holding the ancient ruler of Yihuaheng, Xiao Yang only felt that a steady stream of power was coming from the ancient ruler of Yihuaheng. Flowing out from above, constantly nourishing his body, it seems that if he cuts at will, he can obliterate Reggie. At this moment, Xiao Yang felt that he was the of death who held the power of life and death. What the is this guy doing? At this moment, Leiji also smelled a supreme power that was not inferior to him from Xiao Yang, and his heart twitched. I don't know why, when looking at the heavy ruler with 22 flame patterns in Xiao Yang's hand, an extremely uneasy fluctuation made his eyelids jump violently, and the 22 flame patterns were like ancient words. Under the baking of Xiao Yang's amber flame, it slowly condenses, and in a short period of time, it will evolve into an unknowable mysterious force. Pretend to be a ghost. Thunder penalty. 9 evil thunder punishment. Looking at such a strange Xiao Yang Leiji's body, black and red thunders continued to transform, and finally turned into a total of 9 black and red thunder beams, filling his body. On top of each thunder beam, there are dense black and red lines. Those lines are like evil lines drawn at will by the of evil. It seems that every line contains the evil power to obliterate all living beings. I count on you. Boom. Xiao Yang opened his mouth softly, with a calmness in his voice, and said to the ancient ruler of eternal fire in the palm of his hand. Wong buzzing. As soon as Xiao Yang's voice fell, a burst of dazzling light and sound erupted from the ancient ruler of eternal fire. Fusion. This is the holy pattern. Artifact. How is that possible? At this moment, countless thunderbolts trembled in the entire thunder domain. They were frightened, fearful, and trembling, and the root cause was the ancient ruler of eternal fire hung in Xiao Yang's hand. At this time, Xiao Yang seemed to be in the middle of some kind of special insight. He only felt that his mind was dizzy. It seemed that an ancient voice, like a real god's mansion, kept echoing in his mind. The holy pattern shines in the world, the evil is surging in the world, the gods are beginning to appear, the demons appear in the world, and the war begins. This is a prophecy, and it is also the belief of the entire world. How could you possibly have an artifact? How could you have a holy flame? That's impossible. Looking at the eyes closed and resting, it seemed that when Lei Ji's legs became weak, the thunder force around him was completely destroyed by the different fire. The holy pattern above the ruler was broken, and even the evil fighting spirit in Reggie's body suddenly refused to obey. At this time, Reggie was sitting on the ground like a cripple. On the other hand, the ancient ruler of Yihuaheng was tightly held by Xiao Yang. At the same time, at the center of the ruler, a pattern of light surrounded by colorful flames touched an ancient word for king, illuminating the entire field. The confinement and divine power on it filled with a sense of anxiety and anxiety. With a sound, the Emperor Yang ring, which had been hidden in Xiao Yang's body, also appeared on Xiao Yang's fingers when Xiao Yang was not paying attention. Even inside the Emperor Yang ring, a line like a sleeping giant just woke up. The illusory figure, Wei Wei, sits in it, like an old man from ancient times. The holy pattern shines in the world, the evil is surging in the world, the gods are beginning to appear, the demons appear in the world, and the war begins. This is a prophecy, and it is also the belief of the entire Great Thousand World. What does this mean? Xiao Yang opened his eyes slightly, muttered, and kept repeating this incantation in his mouth. Just after the mutation of Yihuaheng ancient ruler, these words kept popping up in Xiao Yang's mind among. How did you know this prophecy? At this moment, the fighting spirit in Leiji's eyes subsided, as if he had experienced endless fear. He raised his head with difficulty and looked at Xiao Yang, who was aloof. It's over. Xiao Yang shook his head gently, raised his palm, and the ancient ruler of eternal fire, blessed by the king character, burst into a dazzling divine light, and slashed towards Reggie gently. Bang bang bang. With a slight slash, it did not bring any energy fluctuations. There was only a brilliant flame of light killing Reggie. Suddenly Reggie had no time to resist, a tyrannical coercion of heaven and earth, nothing else. The voice, Reggie's figure, completely disintegrated, completely destroyed by this blow, and vanished into ashes. After beheading Lei Ji so easily, the thunder domain dissipated directly, restoring the dark and gloomy space here, but the holy pattern on Xiao Yang's Yihuaheng ancient ruler was also light like a flash in the pan. Disappeared, and even Xiao Yang directly collapsed on the soil, gasping for breath. As for the prophecy, I am afraid that he can only think about it after the battle is over. The blow just now seemed to be bland, but only Xiao Yang knew that that blow consumed 90% of his power, and the change in the eternal fire eternal ancient ruler was obviously related to the amber rock soul fire in his body. Xiao Yang is not very clear about the situation. Such a blow consumes 90% of his power, and he seems to be able to rely on the power of the soul and the power of the holy flame to perceive that this level of attack does not seem to be the limit of the ancient ruler of different fire, and at this time, even if the holy pattern is turned on, it seems that the ancient ruler of different fire has not completely revealed its glory. It seems that this thing is very likely to be one of the artifacts in the Great Thousand World. Master, the leader of Reggie, was beheaded by the kid with the soul power of the Fairyland. There was no violent energy fluctuation. The soul and body were destroyed together. I am afraid there is something extraordinary in him. Xiao Yang just appeared. The eyes of everyone above the canopy of the evil tree were projected towards Xiao Yang, and Gamma said, "Now he can't make any big waves. We have other important things to do. Stone guilty, he's dying now, so I'll leave it to you. If you can't solve him, then you can apologize with death." Mal, who was headed, was staring at a dark space above the evil tree. "Yes, Master." As soon as the voice fell, an evil figure in the canopy swept towards Xiao Yang, but when this guy's eyes looked at Xiao Yang, there was obviously something wrong, as if he knew each other. "Lord Ma has such a feast, why are we missing our soul palace? Do you think so?" After a while, Ma stared at the place, the space trembled violently, shattered completely with a bang, and suddenly a large and eerie black mist emerged. The black mist kept shaking and instantly turned into dozens of black lines. Shadows emerged like ghosts. "The guy from the Soul Palace is finally here." Looking at these guys, Ma smiled faintly, as if he had expected it. "The Hall Master Shentang and Hall Master Huang Hall of Soul Hall really look down on us." At this moment, Gamma walked over first, and everyone tightly protected the evil tripod. 8-star fighting immortals? Looking at this, the power of the Soul Palace doesn't seem to be as simple as it seems. Xiao Yang kept running the Fen Ju to recover his fighting spirit, walking while escaping the pursuit of the rock criminal, but his eyes were on the dark passage just now. The two headed by the dozens of shadows that emerged, a terrifying fear emerged in my heart. It now seems that the overall strength of the Soul Palace is also clear. At the bottom, there are 12 soul reverends who work for it, followed by the 5 soul guards, and at the top are the 4 hall masters of the heaven and earth Shen Huang, and I am afraid it is the soul palace at the end. The main class. Xiao Yang also had a clear goal in his heart, and for some reason, Xiao Yang always felt that the 3 of sin, the soul palace and the foreign evil clan seemed to be somewhat strangely connected. The 5th sin master Sima's masterpiece really makes us ashamed. No wonder it is always remembered by our hall master. People's breathing became dignified. This is a good thing. If we bring it back, the lord of the palace should be very happy, so I don't know if Lord Ma will give up his love. At this moment, the hall lord of Shentang stared at the agate-like fruit in the evil cauldron behind everyone. Greed Road. Then see if you have the strength. Stop them for me. The last 10 minutes. As long as the fruit is completely mature, then this time, we will win. Mal heard the words, his pupils shrank suddenly, and the dark green energy instantly completely protected himself and the evil cauldron. There are countless humans and sea beasts on the evil tree. It quickly projected towards the evil cauldron, and for a while, the agate-like fruit inside it became an evil glow, and there were faint signs of maturity. Everyone, treat our old friends well. Soul Wuji, the other guys are all handed over to you. I'll deal with Ma myself. At this moment, Shentang Hall Master Soul Yang said with a gloomy smile. Okay. Huangtang Hall Master Soul Wuji smiled slightly immediately. He took the Soul Hall powerhouse and attacked the many sinners directly. Come out. There will be fierce battles around, except Shentang Hall Master Soul Yang quietly standing next to the tree canopy, looking at Ma, who has turned into a dark green blood mist and an evil cauldron, and said softly, Hee hee. Soul Flame, why do you think this is necessary? We sin and cooperate with your Soul Hall to lead the army of evil tribes from outside the domain into the Dakian world, then the Dakian world also has a corner of our place. As soon as the voice of the Soul Flame fell, the void around the evil cauldron suddenly collapsed. A green-haired elegant man, step out gracefully. No, our soul palace is different from yours. How can you see it? You are willing to be the lackeys of the foreign evil race, but our soul hall is different. This great world will be ours sooner or later. As soon as the voice fell, a battle was about to start. The battle between the 2 powerhouses in the early stage of the 8-star fighting immortals, as well as a melee about the evil fruit conspiracy, started completely. This video will end here.